Ethan Monroe had always been good at building things. Offices, apartments, museums, clean lines, sharp angles, projects that looked perfect in presentations. But when it came to building a life, really building one, he was still figuring it out. It was a Saturday morning in early November, and his 7-year-old son Jacob was tugging at his sleeve, eyes bright with expectation. "Dad, can we go get hot chocolate? You promised." Ethan smiled and set down his tablet. "I did, didn't I?" This was their thing now. Every Saturday, just the two of them. A walk to the cafe down the street, hot chocolate for Jacob, black coffee for him. It wasn't much, but after the divorce, these small rituals felt like anchors. Jacob didn't ask about his mother much anymore, and Ethan didn't bring her up. They were learning how to be a team, just the two of them. The morning was cold and bright. Jacob skipped ahead on the sidewalk, his sneakers slapping the pavement in that uneven rhythm only kids seem to master. Ethan followed, hands in his coat pockets, feeling something close to peace. When they reached the cafe, Jacob rushed inside, but Ethan paused at the door. Just outside, sitting on the bench near the window, was a woman and a little girl. The woman looked tired. Not the kind of tired that comes from a bad night's sleep, but the deeper kind. The kind that lives in your shoulders. Her coat was too thin for the weather, and her hands were wrapped around a paper cup that had probably gone cold. The girl beside her couldn't have been more than 6. She sat perfectly still, her small hands folded in her lap, her eyes watching the street with strange, quiet attention. She didn't fidget. She didn't whine. She just sat there, like she'd learned early on not to ask for much. Jacob came back out, cup in hand, steam rising from the whipped cream on top. He noticed the girl, too. "Dad, why is she just sitting there?" Ethan didn't have a good answer. So instead, he walked over. "Excuse me," he said gently. The woman looked up, startled. Her eyes were guarded, cautious. "I don't mean to bother you. I just thought, if you like, I'd be happy to get you and your daughter something warm. It's cold out here." The woman hesitated. Pride flickered across her face. But behind it was something else. Exhaustion. Need. She glanced at her daughter, who looked up at her with quiet hope. "That's kind of you," the woman said softly. "But we're okay." Ethan nodded, but he didn't move. Jacob stepped forward instead, holding out his cup. "You can have some of mine if you want. It's really good." The little girl smiled then, just a small one, but it was enough. The woman's expression softened. She looked at Ethan, really looked at him, and something unspoken passed between them. "All right," she said. "Thank you." Her name was Marisol. Her daughter was Aria. They sat inside the cafe together. The four of them crowded into a small table by the window. Jacob and Aria hit it off immediately, talking about cartoons and favorite colors with the easy enthusiasm of kids who didn't yet know how to be strangers. Marisol was quieter. She sipped her coffee slowly, like she was trying to make it last. Ethan didn't push. He just listened. Eventually, she told him she'd moved to the city a few months ago, looking for work. Things had been harder than expected. She was staying at a shelter temporarily, doing part-time cleaning jobs when she could find them. "I'm trying," she said, and her voice cracked just a little. "I really am." Ethan believed her. He could see it in the way she watched Aria, in the way she held herself together, even when everything was falling apart. "What did you do before?" he asked. She looked down at her cup. "I studied architecture. A long time ago." That surprised him. "Really?" "Yeah." She laughed, but it was hollow. "I was going to design schools. Places where kids could feel safe, you know? But life happened. My husband died in an accident when Aria was 2. After that, I couldn't. I had to survive. And survival doesn't leave much room for dreams." Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. He thought about his own life, how he'd bury himself in work after his marriage fell apart, how easy it was to let dreams become just another thing you used to have. "I run a design firm," he said carefully. "We're always looking for people. If you're interested, I could help you find something. Admin work, maybe. It's not architecture, but it's a start." Marisol's eyes widened. I couldn't ask you to do that." "You're not asking. I'm offering." She was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded, just barely. Okay, thank you. 3 weeks later, Marisol started working at Ethan's firm. She was sharp, organized, and she learned fast. But Ethan noticed something else too. The way she lingered by the design boards, the way her eyes traced the blueprints on the walls. She was hungry for it. She just didn't think she had the right to want it anymore. Jacob and Arya became inseparable. Playdates turned into sleepovers. Sleepovers turned into weekends spent together. Ethan found himself spending more time with Marisol too, not just as a boss, but as a friend. She was funny when she relaxed, strong in ways he admired, and she didn't need him to fix her. She just needed someone to see her. One evening, after the kids had fallen asleep watching a movie, Arya woke up and came into the kitchen where Ethan and Marisol were talking. She rubbed her eyes and looked at Ethan with that same quiet seriousness she always carried. "You remind me of my dad," she said. Ethan's throat tightened. "Yeah." She nodded. "He used to make me feel safe, like nothing bad could happen." Marisol's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. Ethan knelt down so he was eye level with Arya. "You are safe," he said softly. "I promise." Arya smiled, then went back to the couch and curled up next to Jacob. Marisol wiped her eyes. She doesn't talk about him much anymore, but she remembers. "She's a strong kid," Ethan said. "She had to be." That night, something shifted. Ethan realized he wasn't just helping anymore. He was invested in Arya, in Marisol, in the life they were all slowly building together. A few months later, Ethan found Marisol sketching during her lunch break. She tried to hide it, embarrassed, but he caught a glimpse, a school courtyard full of light and open space. "This is beautiful," he said. "It's nothing, just something I used to do." "It's not nothing." He sat down across from her. "You should come back. To architecture. For real." She shook her head. "I can't. I don't have the degree, the experience. You have the talent. And I'll help you, if you want." She looked at him like he'd just offered her the world. And, in a way, he had. Over the next year, Marisol went back to school part-time. Ethan mentored her, helped her rebuild her portfolio. She was brilliant, better than half the designers he'd worked with. And somewhere along the way, between late-night design reviews and quiet conversations over coffee, they fell in love. It wasn't dramatic. It was slow and steady, built on trust and shared dreams, and two kids who become siblings in everything but name. One night, after Arya and Jacob had gone to bed, Marisol turned to Ethan and said, "You gave me my life back." He shook his head. "You did that yourself. I just reminded you it was still there." She kissed him then, soft and sure, and Ethan realized something he'd been too busy to notice before. Home wasn't something you designed on paper. It was something you built with people, brick by brick, moment by moment, with love, patience, and the courage to let someone in. And for the first time in years, Ethan Monroe felt like he'd finally built something that would last.